Hello everyone, xHedra here bringing you episode 92 of Forever Stranded, a Modpack by Gaming with Sheridan. So in the last episode we completed the Under the Sand quest, and I continued playing around with my AE2 system because you guys had all guessed it by now, I couldn't stop this until this red square was gone. So I played around with AE2 in a time lapse while making sure that I was producing a lot of sand. And I started submitting the sand and I ended it when it was almost ready. So let's go take a quick look, and it's at 929,000 of a million. And I also made sure that I had enough in my system. So if I come here and look at sand, I have 91k. So this quest is going to be completed today. I just want to start submitting it. Then we'll do a tour base and look at, well, not a tour base, we'll just look at what was done in the last episode. And then we'll do a review of all of the quest to see and give my perspective on it and what I thought of the quest himself. So now that this has started, let's go downstairs. And this is the setup section where I worked. I'm just going to turn off my magnet because I don't want to grab anything while I'm down there. So I moved my production of pure Certus crystal in here, and oh, I forgot to connect something. So let me just connect that. I moved it down here because technically, if I was continuing to play this, there would be no real reason for me to come here. Like, everything around here is set up and set up for good. I have this inscriber set on making logic processor, and I didn't put any acceleration card. And then I got this one here on calculation processor, probably doesn't have acceleration card either, and I have another one back there on engineering processor, probably. Let me just check. Yes, engineering processor. So I split those in three because that's the ultimate way of making each of them separately. And I also didn't connect that side, so let's connect that side quickly. Like so. Perfect. And is there anything in there? No, there isn't anything in there. Perfect. All good. Oh, yes, there was. I grabbed some pure fluorix crystal. So why didn't these pure fluorix crystal get grabbed? Let me check at the filter here. I think I forgot to put that one in because I didn't have any anymore in my system. And are they being imported by DAE2? No, they're not being imported by DAE2. Neither is the Certus quartz, so let's just take a second and set that. I don't know why necessarily I'm setting that. I'm done with this playthrough. I'm sure this is the last episode, but I just want it to be complete. So if I put that in here, will it get grabbed? Yes, perfect. And I had this whole setup here. So on this side was going to be my breaking down of things that only needed to be crushed. And you see that I have a crusher here for the nether quartz ore, and a pulverizer for the Certus quartz ore, and a double crusher for coal ore. I would probably put one more double crusher just for redstone, and another pulverizer for the pure, the charged Certus quartz, because they don't work in a crusher. So I had this other crusher here, but I was looking around and I couldn't find something else that I was going to put in it. I thought I was going to be able to put the lapis, but the crusher doesn't seem to be doing lapis, I think. And then on this side, it's the ore processing from the void ore miner. So I break down iron and gold and copper and so and so. And then I send them to an alloy smelter, and I'm using an Ender IO item conduit. I was asked by Duncan if I couldn't put the machine next to each other, side, one on top of the other. And I could, because here I could use the pull-push mechanism to grab from that machine. The problem with that is I needed to power everything. So either I was going to bring a power conduit in the back of this one and then on the back of that one, which would have doubled my power conduit, or I could put the item conduit in the middle and only use half of each. The other interesting thing also, the other reason is I kept this one like this. When I'm producing nickel, there's a byproduct of pulverized platinum. The problem with the pulverized platinum is that it has nowhere to go. So it accrues here, and once it reached 64, this would stop being crushed because there would be no more space. So I'm just to show you, and I left that in the last episode because I wanted to show you this, all I need to do to fix that is add another alloy smelter right here with a sorry, with an item conduit and then a power conduit. I'm also going to need an item conduit in the back, but I'll do that after. And here, set it on insert with a filter and say only for pulverized platinum and put that in. And in the back, I extract, always active. So I used export all of here to be able to bring the material. So that's 8 channel. And here I could have put importers for each, but the importers are expensive and they all take a channel. So instead I bring everything into a chest and I import from there. I did the same thing here. So that's the most efficient setup. And that way when the iron gives me an extra copper, then it goes into that alloy smelter. And when the tin gives me an extra silver, then it goes in that alloy smelter. And so nothing ever gets clogged. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys is, I don't know if I'd finish showing you this, but all of this is now all of my biggest resource. And by putting a higher priority on the export, oh, quest completed, I was able to export everything in here. And this is the ultimate setup. You do want to have that because once you're crafting, I don't have 6,000 block. I don't have 59,000 ingot. I don't have 533 nugget. What I have is like a mismatch of all of this, and I can pull whichever I want, which makes the crafting much easier. So let's look at the quest. Collector quest, Sandy, completed. I have tons of these, tons of that. Let's claim these because I don't have many of these and put them in the A2 system. So guys, all of the quest completed, all the green completed, the blue are completed, repeatable, all completed, all completed, all completed, and all completed with one repeatable. That was an amazing journey, and we finally completed it. So let's go upstairs, and let's talk about that journey a little bit. I'm just going to put this aside, and you know what? I'm not going to put things aside. I'm going to put things aside. Let me open this bag, sort that, put all of these in here. With the conduit probe and the torch. Let me put my tools in here, all of these. I can keep that one and I can put that bag in that bag. Let me throw this in here and let me put that on my bubble. So now I'm rid of everything, and let's look at our achievement of all of the quests done. And let's talk about them more. So, if I press F3, you see on the left some text from Minecraft, which is all text about what's running, what's doing, the coordinates, stuff like that. And on the left, the second block you see is the XYZ coordinate, block, chunk, the direction you're facing, the biome you're in, the light level, the local difficulty. And if you look completely to the right of the local difficulty, you see day 341. Let's just pause right here, and I'm opening my calculator. So 341 days at 20 minutes of real playtime per day. That's 6,820 minutes. Divided by 60 minutes an hour, that's 113.67 hours. That's how long this playthrough has been. That's how long you've accompanied me on this. For you, it's been more like 90-ish because of the time lapse, but this is how long it took to complete the pack fully. To be fair, there isn't 113 hour of playthrough, because if we go back down here and we look at this, I have 2 tier 4 void ore miner that took me some time to build and set up. But if I go back to the main city, I also have, oh wow, load, okay, I also have another 8 here. That was a crazy amount of setting up. I think that took me 2 hours with the time lapse, and not counting all of the material I needed to build this. And then for the sand setup, how much time did I spend on the sand setup, moving it twice? And the dirt farm 1.0 here, dirt farm 1.0 back at the tech city, dirt farm 2.0 in the back there with the hoe on the coarse dirt, and dirt farm 3.0 here with the actual best solution of them all. I spent so much time on that, and I didn't need to do that because I could have made a simple setup for each. I could have taken care, like let's look at these quests. I could have made a simple setup for the dirt. and a simple setup for descend that split the output in 5. I would use a round robin in 5. Why 5? 1 to be sand, and 4 to make sandstone, because you need 4 sand for a sandstone. So if I had a round robin with 5 output, then I would be finishing these 2 quests at the same time. Then a wood mob farm for iron that I would then have switched. Like, I could have put the nether star in there just long enough to accrue like 1,000, and then switch it over to iron until iron was finished, and then switch it over to gold until gold was finished. And I could have had 2 void ore miner, one on lapis and one on diamond. That was easy to take care of. So if I would do something different about the collector quest, well, first of all, I would make them smaller, because it was just super painful. Like, the point could have been accomplished with 2,000 block of diamond, and with 10,000 block of lapis, or even just 2. Same thing with gold. It could have been 1,000 block of gold. Same thing with iron. It could have been 1,000 block of iron. It just, everything could have been a bit less. 250,000 for the sand, maybe 100,000 for the sandstone, because at the end of the day, there wasn't more than really one solution. It was crushing and void ore mining. There's no way to get the diamond and lapis just with sieving. That would have been crazy. And the iron, I don't think made sense without the golem. Like, it was a brilliant solution from Jimmy Ashby. Like, that was one of the most amazing tips. And this, even though it was small, like, the ability of getting those from the zombie pigmen was probably the best solution. But at the end of the day, it was so many hours of waiting. And I could have made a small setup of all of these quests, and then just let my game open overnight, like so many of you did, and get all of these quests completed much faster. And that series could have been maybe 50 episodes, maybe just 60. But then I wouldn't have been able to cover so many things so well. Like this, 4 wood mob farm tier 4. That was so much work setting up and all the enchantments for it. Like, that was crazy. It was fun. It was crazy fun for me, but it was still crazy. The fact that at the end, to be able to speed things up, I needed 5 dragon egg mill. I don't think I've ever built more than 1 of these in all of the other Modpack I've ever played, but I needed 5 for this one. So the collector quest, I would have made all open at the same time and all smaller, because once you found the solution, it was just a waiting game. And as part of a series, I couldn't skip the time. Creating Life was a great quest line. Like, that brought all of the animals that you wanted. And unfortunately, there's really was no point to any of the animal, because we could get the wool differently. We could get the feather. Could we get the feather differently? We couldn't, but we didn't need that many. We could get the leather in a different manner, and we didn't really need that much milk. So that was kind of, I don't want to say a waste, but a bit of a waste of time. It was just fun. Like, it was bringing life back to the world. Then moving world, no, then I'm going to go the other way around. Basic survival. This quest line did a great job of setting you up. The only problem with it is that it didn't put any emphasis on speed. If you wanted to play on hardcore like me, to try and never die, and guys, I did die once in this playthrough. In my other playthrough, I think I died 4 or 5 times. Where's journey map? Close, and waypoint, and see? 1 death. Right here. And you all know where it was. It was at the meteor, because I was careful, and a creeper exploded and killed me. Sorry. So there's no sense of speed here. And if you don't want to die in the beginning, this had to be done religiously, one after another, after another, after another. And without the cactus trick, that was impossible. So it took me maybe 10 or 15 start before I was able to get 1 start where I didn't die. And the 1 start where I didn't die, that's after that start that I decided to record and show you how to do that. That's when I decided to do the series and do it with that, because it was so hard starting, and there was no series on YouTube that I could find at that time saying this is how you can start without dying, just like there was for crash landing. That's how I learned how to start crash landing. I found someone who said this is the best start, so I was like, no one's done that for Forever Stranded, so I should. And even though this covers everything, the other things I would say against it is that I felt it didn't really explain enough. Like here, there's worm on these trees. Ooh, but they may come in handy to eat. Burke. It doesn't talk about using a crook to get more. It doesn't talk about a crook. The crook is here, but if you're here and you're moving on to that one or that one, you're like, okay, I'm going to need silkworm. And only here do you make the crook. But it doesn't say why you make the crook. Like, I wish it had said, the crook is going to help you get more saplings, and it's going to help you get more worms. I would even have said the crook should have been part of this or a quest before to tell you, because I know some people who tried this and on the first tree with their one oat sapling wasn't able to get a sapling because they broke it by hand and none dropped. You really need to have a crook. So there was no sense of urgency and not enough explanation of the mod pack itself. Like, it makes a sieve. Now that I have my supplies, time to get wood and more sapling. If I hammer this sand in the desert, I get dust. It may come of use. And then it asks you to make dust. But it doesn't tell you to sieve it. It doesn't tell you that you should sieve them to get material anywhere. You have to be like, okay, so what's the sieve? Why would I need a sieve and how to use it? So I know that for some people, there was a lot of frustration in knowing how to start. And even here, like here, it talks about a bone crook. Well, why? The stone hammer is more durability, but why the bone crook? Well, it has better drop rate, but it doesn't tell you that. So this could have been a bit more tutorial-ish. And I understand some people don't want to have it all, but there could be like a longer description in some space and a note. Read below if you want more instructions on how to do this. Anyway, that's just a suggestion. Think about. That quest line was fun, but a bit problematic for me with power. I love that it got us into immersive engineering. It's a great mod. But when it comes to power, here it branched and says water power. Well, the water wheel is more expensive than this wooden generator. And although it's free, it generates 87 if you max it. If you don't max it, it produces, I think, 22, 24, where that is 20 RF for something so much easier to set up. And this is easier with a little bit more power and expensive with a little bit more power. So this is a progression, but if you've set a good water power, you're already making more than the iron RF, so there's no point in using these, and this is free and infinite. And then from water power, it wants you to make wind power. Well, wind power is so bad. It's like so much less than the water power that it makes no sense. If it had been the first one, that would have made sense and then progressed into water power, but it didn't really. These weapon, the gun is super fun, was one great build. It's an amazing weapon, but it doesn't shoot enough or doesn't do enough damage, because with 8-shot, if you're going on exploration, 8-shot is not enough before it needs a recharge. Then the power for the generator, the big reactor, was a good jump. Like, finally there was a good jump. But in between, it talks about the Sterling. Well, most other series I've watched, people made Sterling before they even made any of these power mechanisms. Because a Sterling generator, I'm going to be honest, it's not expensive enough in this pack. Well, it's not expensive enough in most pack. Like in this pack, these should have been iron block. Or maybe these basic gear should have been copper gear. Or just, something more expensive so that it felt like a progression. But to do that, it had to give more than 20 RF. This only gave 20 RF before the upgrade. So it was really a question of, why should I build the Sterling instead of those? Because those burn coal. I don't have that much coal. These burn lava, so I could use those. And I refrained from using lava generator. But I did do some research in my other playthrough, and I think so there's this lava generator right here, but that's not the one. I think it's the magma. I think this one was the best power generation in the pack. But it's nowhere in here. It's not part of the quest, which is why I refrained from using it, which is why I used anything else. But I wish that the power had been a better progression. I think that the magma one should have been either more expensive and produce a lot more RF, or disabled. And I would have made this double this and this double that. And I would have made this 5 block of iron, not ingot, block, but be double or triple that. And I would have made the big reactor double or triple the power it was now, just so that there was always a reason to move upward in power. You start with that because it's free and easy to make, but then you go to this because it uses more resource, but this does 87 and this does 140, let's say. And then this one does 280 and this one does 420 and this does 700 RF. I just felt that we went from the most RF you could produce with a Stirling generator, if I remember, was 120 to a Nether Star Mark III generator producing 99,000. That was a progression in power. Well, I'm forgetting the big reactor and the turbine in the middle, but the turbine we built because it was a quest. It wasn't worth it. We didn't really use it to power anything because it was too complicated of a setup. Imagine, this was worth it because it gave us 1,500, I think. This one, if it had given us like 15,000 or 20,000, that would have been the next goal. We would have built this and transformed it into that ASAP. Like, not built that part. We would have just built that part and attached and converted it. But it wasn't producing enough. Like, I produced it, and in my first playthrough, in my other playthrough, I made this steam turbine and I put it aside. I never used it. I just made more big reactor or a bigger big reactor or moved on to the Nether Star power. So that's the power. There was no power progression. I wish there had been a real power progression going from 20 free with power, water power, 87 to 2, 4, 5, 700, 2,000, 7,000, 20, 50, and then 90. Like, that would have been very nice. Technological revolution, I have nothing to say against. That was a great quest line. It was really well arranged, really well progressed, and really well made. I really loved it. The only thing that I have against was the automated firepower. The automated firepower open modular turret is awesome. I'm so glad I learned about it. It just doesn't do enough. I wish that this setup here had been enough to kill mobs like easily. I wish that I could have made a setup with no walls, or maybe just like no walls, just like 4 or 5 of these turrets around, and be like in here working and doing my things and going around my base and hearing boom 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 and mobs dying all around. Like, that would have made like a feeling of great power. And the one with the laser was amazing, but it cost so much power that until the end there was no need, like no way of generating enough power for it. And at that point, I had this boomerang that was so much easier to kill the mob, and the beacon that was making me invincible. So it would have been super great if it had been more balance on more damage and less power. Then, Moving World, the final quest line in that system. Amazing Modpack advanced rocketry. I loved it. And this quest line was great to begin with, but then it fell short quickly. It told us to make all of these machines, and it was well progressed. But between making our first wafer and then getting off the planet, there's like a series of quests missing. I wish that there had been a quest to make the electrolyzer and a quest to make the fuel synthesizer. Is it called electrolyzer? And this one is the chemical reactor. And it could have been a great quest. Like, make this and generate 10 buckets of liquid oxygen and 10 buckets of liquid hydrogen. And then make this one and generate 10 buckets of fuel that you have to submit. And then for the rocket, I wish that it had told us how to build a rocket. Like, I wish it had been made to say, oh, for a rocket, build the following block. You're going to need 4 engine, 10 tanks, so on and so. And once you have them all, put them on the platform and build a rocket. And I would have used this to say, some planets have higher gravity. If you go on a planet with a big high gravity, your rocket won't be able to lift. In my first playthrough, that happened to me. I landed on a planet and I couldn't leave the planet. I was stuck there. And I got so frustrated with it that I ended up cheating in a couple more tank just to be able to make my rocket bigger and lift off from the planet. There was no warning for that, and there was no way to get back from that. It was a total loss. Like, I was stuck there and finished. Another thing that was more of an Easter egg that almost made me stop playing was the bed. On another planet, if you put a bed down and you right click it to sleep, you blow up and you die. When that happened, I Alt F4 closed Minecraft, and it took me a week before I revisited the mod pack because I thought everything was lost. And if I remember correctly, I respawned back here and I had to build another station and go back to get my station and my material from the other planet. And I never made that mistake again. But that one was bad. And then the sapling. The sad part about the sapling is that to this day, considering the number of planets I visited and how many I went to, I still think that it was only on one of the planet. There was only one place to get it from, and that's it. Which means a lot of traveling, and I wish I had known not to spend hours long exploring each planet. That it would have said, oh, this sapling only grows on a specific planet. You will find it within, like, if you don't find it within 10 minutes of exploring the planet, it's not on that planet for sure. Move on. Then I would have gone on a travel expedition, and I would have gone from planet 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, spending 10-15 minutes on each just searching, but not knowing if it was a hard biome to find or a very rare biome. I explored multiple planets, multiple hours for no reason. So that was a sad part for this quest. So missing also the what's it called? The spacesuit. Nowhere does it say to build the spacesuit. I knew to build the spacesuit because I remember Galacticraft, and I remember watching here and being like, at advanced rocketry, and then finding, hey, there's a spacesuit. I probably need this, and decided to make it. But there wasn't any quest to make it. So it's a lot of criticism, but I think it's positive criticism on how this mod pack could have been so much better. But to be fair, it was a great and amazing mod pack. Thank you, Gaming with Sheridan, for making such a great mod pack. It was super fun, and I appreciate it, and that's one of the reasons I became one of your Patreon. I think you're doing great work, and I hope that you take everyone's feedback and put that in Forever Stranded 2, which I cannot wait to play. So this was an amazing journey, even made more amazing by all of you subscribers, giving me tips and tricks and helping me. And I want to thank you all for being on that journey with me. So guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next series. Bye now.